What's up, everybody? Jaxxsin here. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Song of the Deep, Insomniac's indie game that's not really by an indie studio, I guess you could say. It's published by an independent fucking-ish. Okay, so the first, let me just get into this, because this was funny. I found this out and it cracked me up. At the end of the game, there was a thank you to GameStop. And I was like, what the fuck? Was that just a thank you to GameStop? And so like I looked up and apparently the publisher behind this game is actually GameStop's independent games publisher. They're trying it. I don't know what they're doing over there, but I'll tell you this, GameStop, you keep giving fucking people like Insomniac money to make games like this, and you're not gonna hear shit from me, because this is an excellent game. Song of the Deep, you know, I didn't even know any of that going into this. But Song of the Deep is this great fucking like storybook kind of tell. It's presented almost like a storybook. There's a narrator who's kind of, it almost feels like you're being told a bedtime story and the beginning of the game starts with her father telling her a bedtime story, which is very appropriate. Either way, it's got this Lovecraftian inspired like thing going on, but it's got this weird like Teslagrad vibe too as well to it. And when I mean Teslagrad, I don't just mean the metroidvania aspect of Teslagrad. I mean, this is like one part fucking Axiom Verge metroidvania, where there's a lot of, you know, like there's more okay, this is what I should say. Axiom Verge was definitely more combat based than Teslagrad. Teslagrad almost felt more of like a puzzle, more puzzle heavy and less combat focused. And in most cases in that game, you weren't even attacking the bosses, you were doing a lot of dodging and things like that in order to beat them. So I would say that this is one part that, so one part Teslagrad, but also Teslagrad with the design of it. It had that very like, I don't know, noir cartoon, I don't know what it's called, I don't know the classification. I'm not that intelligent, I'm sorry. But it had that, like, that time period and that vibe of, like, Teslagrad, you know what I mean? And so, that, and then you add to that more, like, the combat styling of, like, a Metroid or a fucking Axiom Verge, where there is a lot of combat, there is a lot of action, but it has its own unique twist on it, and that was the best thing about this game. And games like that, like Axiom Verge and fucking Teslagrad, like, I feel like I was able to enjoy those games because they were not only like doing a time-tested and, you know, true formula that is very fun and very unique, but, you know, they took from that and they added on it so that it didn't just feel like a lazy idea copied over, if that makes sense. Like, they still, okay, yeah, this was how it was. It was clearly Metroidvania style. You collected upgrades to access new areas, a lot of back and forth, a lot of exploration, a lot of filling out the map. But add to that this heavy combat base, you know, and not only that, the floaty way that the submarine moves, the way the submarine fires, I mean, it's all incredibly unique and feels just real in a weird way of way your submarine would move underwater. And I was trying to think of a way to explain this earlier, and the best thing I was coming up with in my head was, you know, it's kind of like Galaxy just felt like floaty but in space, because I liked it. Galaxy, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the stupid bullshit leveling system they had in it, but I enjoyed the game. The gameplay was fun. But I did the thing about this is the Song of the Deep is it feels more like floaty but underwater floaty, and I can't explain that any better than if you just picked up the paddle and played them both and kind of felt them. But they feel like the movement added a unique thing to this game. Like it really did. It felt like you were in a submarine underwater, you know, and I was thankful that there was no collision damage because I was just banging all over the place, you know what I mean? Which it was very grateful it didn't have that, but it still it had all these mixtures of things that I enjoyed, but it all blended it together in its own unique, you know, story and unique, you know, it's just, the story was fucking awesome and it was presented very well. I want to the lady, I can't remember her name. I looked at it in the credits at the end and I fucking made a mental note. And of course I forgot it because I made the mental note. If I had just like passively been like, that's cool, I probably would have remembered it. But anyway, this lady, she had like this incredibly beautiful voice, and it was the perfect tone and everything to set the stage. And her voice almost had a haunting lilt to it, if that makes sense. And that was very fitting to the atmosphere, to some of these areas where you could just feel the doom and gloom in the whole area. And this woman would read the line, but it wasn't like just like, oh, I'm reading this piece of paper. She was delivering it, and she had different inflections and different ways of delivering the dialogue in each different situation to set the mood perfectly for these areas, to the point where like my palms were sweaty sometimes, and like I had the jitters, and I had a few jump scares in this game, I'm not gonna lie. I know that seems fucking stupid and funny, but like the way the sound in this game was presented it was very easy for me to have that point where like I just got attacked by an enemy I didn't see previously, and all of a sudden just scared the snot out of me. But and then you add to that this beautiful, beautiful soundtrack, just very beautiful, orchestrated soundtrack, a lot of piano, a lot of instruments, a lot of like very beautiful woman, like a woman singing. It's very beautiful soundtrack, very excellent soundtrack. I mean, for $15, I mean, that's the price of a CD, right? And so just if you play this game, like you listen, this is a great fucking soundtrack. Like I would say the work involved in just the soundtrack and music in this was definitely worth $15. The enjoyment I got out of it, and it added to, like I said, it added to the atmosphere in a way. And like the music would drop sometimes in some areas, and it would just be like these gloomy, just like dark sounds and like weird, and I can't explain it other than like it's very atmospheric, sets the tone very well. And like Teslagrad, I felt did this very well too. The problem with Teslagrad was just like the gameplay, because it was puzzly based, and it was like kind of like, oh, okay, this room is, I gotta do this, I can get out of this room. Because of that, I felt like it suffered a little more, where this felt a little more, high tense, oh, if I don't, it's not like, oh, if I miss this jump, I'm gonna die. It's like, oh, if I go around, the wrong corner and I don't think fast enough and attack these mobs. And I played it on hard just because I've had a history of playing Insomniac games on hard, and when I say Insomniac games, I mean Ratchet and Clank games. But I enjoy Ratchet and Clank games on hard because I don't know, to me, it basically turns it into a dodge fest. You can't get hit as much in Ratchet and Clank when it's on hard, because everything hits you tons harder, and of course it takes more bullets to hit them. It's kind of a dumbed down version of the difficulty hard. The AI isn't smarter or anything like that, but and I could tell in this game it was the same way. Like the AI wasn't going to be any smarter or anything like that. I was just definitely taking a lot more damage, and so it was able to set this atmosphere of like, mixed with the gameplay, where I had to be quick on my feet, I had to be ready for those ambushes, I had to be, ready for any of these situations, and it made those moments where they were setting the stage of where I was and presenting the story there. I felt like it was just, if it was better, I felt like it was better. This everything about the story in this game, the way it has been presented, and I mean, it's just, I felt like it was an experience that was definitely worth $15 in my opinion. I would play it again, and I probably most definitely will, because I missed a lot of stuff. There was a lot of little secrets, That was one thing that was kind of sad about it, is I wish that it had a little bit more extensive of a trophy list. I know that sounds stupid and probably dumb to some people, but in this kind of a game, I appreciate that sort of, I appreciate some more trophies to hunt. It gives me a couple added incentives to, going back to the game. And I don't care if it's not necessarily a platinum, but, add a couple of different things, spice it up a little, you know, add, you know, I wouldn't have minded a, you know, a speed run trophy for this game. I think a speed run could have been fun for this. I don't know though. And you know, like I said, that I don't know if I said this or thought it, but there were some issues with the frame rates at certain points in this game. You know what I mean? And like, the reason I mention that when I usually don't give a fuck is because in this game it kind of mattered, especially when I had it on hard, because when I was seeing these issues, it was mostly in areas where there was a lot of enemies and things like that going on, and with these beautiful, mind you, beautiful fucking backdrops and like multi-layered fucking, you know, backdrops that are just very gorgeous to look at. You can tell they put a lot of time and effort into them. But at the same time, like, it was important for me to be able to dodge, you know, at appropriate times, because, you know, that some of these enemies, like, that's the point, is you have to dodge at the right time in order to kill them, you know what I mean, in order to get a hit on them. So it was mainly the crabs I was having problems with. They did like this, they slam their pincers together and they kind of shoot this electric ball at you. And towards the end of the game, there were the red ones, and they would one-shot you. And in some of these areas where I was fighting them, there was a lot of like the jellyfish were attacking me with their lightning, and just like, you know, it got to be an issue. But I just want to bring it up because, you know, I feel like it's worth mentioning, because it is Insomniac, and it's not, I mean, it may have been a small team that worked on it, but you know what I mean, like, and then, you know, at the same time, it's not that big of a fucking deal, because like I said, they charge $15 for the game. The game's fucking beautiful. The game has a beautiful story presented in it, you know, like Lovecraftian-ish, with like just this kind of childhood, like, you know, storybook kind of feel to it as well. Like when you were a kid and your mom would tell you a story to put you to bed, or you know, your grandma or whoever. And you know, it has that sort of a feel to it the whole time, but very intense at times, because you know, like, there's a lot of little darker moments and nuances to this game, because it is kind of sort of Lovecraftian inspired, I feel like it was why. But there's also like some joyous moments mixed with that, and it's just the perfect balance. The ending's great. It's got a fucking beautiful resolution to the finale. My opinion, definitely worth your $15. Go check it out, guys. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I love you. I loved this game. It was great. It was worth $15. I mean, it's not like revolutionary or game changing or anything like that, but for $15, it was definitely fucking worth a play. Definitely worth a play. Anyway, take care, everybody. I hope you like this. I hope you get this game, and if you do, tell me if I'm right or if I'm just crazy. I don't know. Talk to y'all later.